All right, y'all. So we're gonna title this video "Poor Choices," and the reason why I decided to have a brief conversation about poor choices is because I am probably the poster child of poor choices. I've made some very, very poor choices, and as a result, as of today, I'm still enduring and forced to cope with those said choices. Now, here's the thing. Every poor choice that we make has its concomitant. Concomitant means a naturally accompanying or association. So it naturally accompanies or is naturally associated with your choice. So I'm going to say that one more time real slow because this is important. This is very important for us to understand. Every poor choice that we make in life has its concomitant, which means it has its naturally occurring or naturally accompanying or naturally associates. Meaning, again, if you don't understand, your poor choices has its following poor consequences. So every poor choice we make has a consequence that is equally poor that follows it, that occurs simultaneously with it, or if not simultaneously, immediately or sometime after it. And the reason that's important is because I'm using my own life, and I've made some very, very, very poor choices, and I want to talk real with you, right? There's days where I feel real like dumb, just real stupid, and those stupid, thoughts of stupidity, how stupid I was to make those poor choices, they haunt me, right? And sometimes I'm 44. If you've been following my videos, I've said my age many times. And at a certain age, you're not supposed to make certain choices. Now, I didn't make these choices at 44. I would say I made these choices at 39, 40, 38, which is still late. Still late in life. Choices that I shouldn't have made, but did. And 4 years later, I'm still reaping the rewards of those poor choices. So your poor choices have their ensuing or their following concomitant, which means naturally accompanying or associates, right? So but here's the thing. Here's why I want to have this discussion, why I'm putting up this video. Your poor choices that you made, we can call them mistakes. They're really not. They're really not. And like I said, there's days where I feel like a complete idiot. There's days that I feel like a complete idiot when I see the results. I see how things are unfolding. I'm looking at how things are unfolding around me. And I'm also realizing that these things that are unfolding around me are an indirect result of those poor choices. And I'm able to connect the dots and make the associations and the connections, right? And like I said, a lot of times I feel real dumb, feel real stupid. I do. I beat myself up sometimes. How could I have been so foolish, right? And then I have a moment of epiphany, right? And you realize that your poor choices are not poor choices at all. Your poor choices are not poor choices at all. And this is where you have that epiphany, and which is a revelation, right? USA moment. And you have that spiritual awakening. And what I mean by that is, when we came into this realm, right? All right, let me give you a good example. Because what I'm about to say might sound a little crazy, a little spooky, a little woo-woo science, pseudoscience. But let me give you an example. The other day, I took my daughter to a racetrack, raceway, and they have like arcade games, and you can race on, you can race the go-karts. And after we raced the go-karts, we were playing a whole bunch of arcade games. And I noticed something, right? That as a young man, as a child, I didn't understand. I never noticed it. As a young adult, I just realized it recently. When we were playing the arcade game, they told you, the game tells you that you have to choose your track. You have to choose your, first it says to choose your vehicle, right? And I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. You get to choose what kind of car you want to drive in the video game. You got to choose your vehicle, right? And there's different color vehicle, different body types vehicle, all different types of vehicles. And they all have different body types and different colors and so on and so forth. And then after we chose the vehicle, it tell you to choose your track, which is the obstacle course. So you have to choose your obstacle course, right? Some were rugged terrain, some were like muddy terrain, some were hills and peaks and valleys. But the point was, you had to choose your vehicle and you had to choose your obstacle course. Now, I study a lot of physics and quantum physics, and I study a lot of science, and I'm a big fan of theology. You know, I study the esoteric mystics, the Kabbalistic mystics, right? The Kabbalah, right? I study all this stuff, Judaism, and I study Egyptology, right? And something I've learned is that we choose to come into this realm. We do. Our soul, before the soul coalesce, which means to harden into what we call this physical body, we chose our, just like in the video game, you choose the vehicle you want and you choose the obstacles you want, right? You literally choose the track. Was in last weekend, me and my daughter, and she chose the car. She chose a pink color car, and she chose the track she wanted. And that's what you call a little glimpse outside of the matrix, if you will, or a little removing of the veil to see reality if you have the third eye open. Because just like in that video game, it's an illustration of how the truth about our lives are. The truth is you chose your body, just like you choose the vehicle. And a matter of fact, a car is also called a what? A auto body, right? Auto body shop, right? So vehicles, cars are literally called bodies, auto bodies. So you choose your auto body, you choose your car, you choose the body that you want to drive in. In this case, you want to dwell and reside in. And then you choose, on the video game, she chose her track, her obstacle course. In life, we choose our challenges. We choose our obstacle course. We choose our journey. We choose our mission, which is, in the video game, it's the track. It's the racetrack that you choose. And I hope you get this. And if you study, again, if you study the Kabbalah, which has to do with Jewish mysticism, and if some Egyptologists, all the different religions talk about reincarnation, transmigration, right? When you study all of these different sciences, you come to realize, like, your poor choices, they're not unintentional. They're not mistakes. They're not, I don't want to say they're not poor choices, and I do want to say they're not poor choices, because the reason why I want to say they're not poor choices is because each choice that you've made was already pre-planned or predetermined or predestined for you to make, so that you can fulfill your mission. You can fulfill your journey. Just like my daughter chose the car she wants, which is the body, and the track she wants. The track that she chose have its own obstacles. Everything, it was ups and downs, peaks and valleys, but that's the track she chose. So every obstacle on that track is not an accident. It was designed that way, right? And your life is already pre-planned, right? This is predestined. And a lot of people will push back at me and ask me, then if everything is planned, what's the point of me even trying? And if everything is planned, that means I have no choice. I have no will. Well, technically speaking, you don't. I made videos about this already. Nobody has free will. We don't have free will. We have the illusion of free will. Everything is already pre-planned and pre-packaged and predetermined and preordained. Just like when my daughter chose that track that she's going to drive her car on, that track is already built. The programmer of that software for that video game already designed that track. Everything's already predetermined. Her job now is to drive on that track and to overcome the obstacles and win that race. I hope you guys can stick with me and see where I'm going. That video game that she chose, that track, is already pre-programmed and built. Every challenge that she's going to face while driving on that road was already determined before she even got there. Her only choice. Now here's where we're not robots. Because I can hear the pushback, so that means we're all robots. No, here's where we're not robots. When we went to the arcade, she had to choose a track. She had to choose the kind of car she wanted and choose the obstacle course she wanted. Whether she knew what was on the obstacle course or not is really irrelevant. What the power she had was to choose which track you want to drive on. Once you choose the track and the game starts, you have no control of what you're going to face because everything's already on that track. So I say that to say the Bible says, choose you this day whom you shall serve. Choose you this day whom you shall serve. Your only job is to choose. You see what I'm saying? Once you choose, everything that's going to happen is already supposed to happen. You see what I'm saying? Everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen. Everything that's on that track is already on that track. Your job is to overcome the obstacles on that track. So, on the track of your life, the journey that we're on, the poor choices you made, they're not necessarily poor choices because they are all prerequisites, they're all necessary, they're all part and parcel for you to become who you're supposed to become. And I could hear a lot of pushback and a lot of questions. Well, why this, why that? Look, here's the bottom line. You are here to overcome. The question then is, overcome what? You're here to overcome yourself. Well, what does that mean? Who I am and who you are at my age of 44, who I am a social construct of my mother, her mother, which is grandmother, her mother, which is great-grandmother, her mother, which is great-great-great-grandmother. I am a construct of ancestors. I'm a social construct of society. I was given a name. You see what I'm saying? I was given a first, a middle, and a last name. I was given digits to identify myself with, social security number. All of who I am is labels. I was given a nationality. I was given an identity. Right? That's all society. That's called social engineering. Right? How I think was given to me. What I believe about myself was force-fed to me by my mother, my father, my school, my teacher, my friends, my associates, my environment, my society. Everything that I believe myself to be is a social engineering construct. It is not who I am. I'll say that again. Everything you are, every single thing that you think you are, is the result of your social construct. It is your society that has labeled, strategically implanted, imprinted, and engineered your personality. And you are the sum total of that. Now, your job, and by the way, all of that is not true. All of that is the illusion. It is the illusion. The illusion that has been so ingrained and embedded, you identify with it. And your job is to unlearn, unpack, unwrap, and rebuild. That's why Jesus says, them who join me in the regeneration. Regeneration means to renew, revive, reinvigorate, redo. And your job, our purpose here on earth is to experience the human, to engage and evolve in the human experience, and to go from human to superhuman, to dehumanize ourselves and rehumanize ourselves, but not just as mere humans, as superhumans, supernatural beings. Because we're not human. We're spirits trapped or enclosed or enwrapped or environed in a human form. And our job is to unlock the 7 seals, which is in the book of Revelations. There's 7 seals. Those 7 seals represents 7 nerve centers in the spiritual body, not in your physical body, in your spiritual body. There are 7 nerve centers, 7 seals that must be unlocked, right? And when you unlock each seal represents elevation and ascension. And when you unlock each seal to the 7th, then you become enlightened. And you become like God, like Christ. And when you can do that, and you achieve that through the grace of God, your job is to teach others. That's the whole purpose of life. Your mission here is to overcome your 7 nerve centers that, and why it has to be unlocked is because it has been, don't think of it locked in the term of like a door and a lock. Don't think locked mean it has been programmed by the society that you're in, the engineer. You've been engineered by the society you're in. And those 7 nerve centers all are locked with those untruths, with those illusions, right? And to unlock them mean you must open them up, clean them, and reprogram them with the truth about who you really are. That's the whole purpose of life. So our poor choices, I'll say this, our poor choices are the keys, if you will, to unlocking the 7 nerve centers in our bodies so that we can tap into the higher power, which is God, and the antenna, which is our brain, can receive information from the ether or the etheric realm, which is God's spirit realm, so that we can know who we really are. And the only way for us to go through that are those same poor choices. Because without those poor choices, we wouldn't suffer. And suffering is the catalyst to change. It is the impetus to change. Nothing changes or moves without some kind of coercion, some kind of goading, some kind of impetus, some kind of force. And the science to that is because of what's called, there's a scientific term, it's called inertia. And Newtonian physics says it this way: an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. In lay terms, what that means is a person stays as a person. A person will stay as a person, but you're not a person. Rewatch what I just said. You are not a person. You're not a personality. Your personality is the construct of the society and your family, but that's not who you are. And Newtonian physics says an object will stay as that object. An object at rest will stay at rest. And again, in lay term mean people will stay. People are going to do what they've been doing. That's what that Newtonian law means. Object at rest, stay at rest. Object in motion, stay in motion. People will keep doing what they've been doing. People are going to stay how they've been staying. People are going to move how they've been moving. People are going to be in motion how they've been motioning. That's what that means. And the only way you're going to change is by your poor choices, which have their consequences, which are going to cause suffering. And those sufferings are going to ignite, are going to enlight, insight, and allow you to raise up, lift up the bronze serpent that Moses lifted up in the wilderness, and the children of Israel looked at it and they were healed. So when you lift up that bronze serpent up your spinal cord, right, the Ida and the Pingala, and they meet at the cerebrum, right, at the cerebellum, at the cranium, right, and they activate the billions of neurons in your brains which are dormant. That's why they say you only use 10% of your brain. 90% of those brain cells are dormant and latent. When those are activated by the Ida and the Pingala, which is the earth, which is the energy raised up the serpent that Moses lifted up. Jesus says, if I be lifted up, as Moses lifted up the serpent, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. So when you lift up that serpent energy within you, the Ida and the Pingala, and you light up those electrons, the third ventricle, the optic thalamus, when you light up the pituitary, the pituitary and the pineal, and you activate all these cells in your brain, guess what? You know what you're doing? You just got an HD antenna in your brain. You turned your brain into the most sophisticated, advanced antenna there is. Forget about high definition. This is high ascension. And once you activate all those antennas, which are billions of neurons, those cells are lit up. You receive divine information. God starts to pour down all the images, all the pictures, and it's called vision. This is where you start to have visions. Paul had visions. John the Baptist, John the Revealer had visions. You start to have visions. You start to see what others don't see. You start to hear what others don't hear. That's why Jesus says they look, but they see not. They have eyes, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. You start to hear what others can't hear, see what others can't see. You become the one. You are Neo from the Matrix. Till next time, peace.